Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. My name is Salom Adonu. Tonight I'm here with
Akosia Oche.
Coming up over the next 90 minutes.
In view of the failure of the Business Committee to sit as a result of the refusal of those who requested for the recall to show up, we are compelled to once again adjourn the sitting of the House indefinitely.
Speaker of Parliament adjourns House indefinitely again over what he calls the lack of business before the House. The MPP MPs at whose instance the House was called or recalled were absent from the chamber. Meanwhile, the MPP majority is calling Speaker Bagbin out.
What Mr. Speaker did today amount to supervising chaos and bringing the image of democracy to disrepute. So we'll call Parliament again.
Now the parliamentary drama continues. Shall we call a truce? Also, an Eyewitness News Electoral Commission says it is not under any obligation to provide a statistical summary in addition to the certified voters register he gave to the parties yesterday, and this in response to the NDC's request for the data breakdown. Also, government today launched a credit score system. We'll tell you what it is and indeed more about that particular system. Stay with 97.3 City FM for more on this and other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
Ghana's crude oil revenue records significant boost in the first half of 2024, surging to over 55%.
There is more business in the next 50 minutes. Eyewitness News is live across the country on all our affiliates and around the globe at citynewsroom.com. And in the Western region, this is Premier 100.5 FM in Takoradi Beach, 105.5 FM also in Takoradi, and Sky Power 93.5 FM in Takoradi as well. In the Bono region, Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In the Ashanti region, Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Eastern region, Right 90.1 FM in Somanya. In the Volta region, this is Holy 98.5 FM in Aflao. In the Northern region, Dasuma 99.1 FM at Yendi. In the Upper East region, this is Wed 88.3 FM at Warungu, and Bugli Radio 88.6 in the Upper West region. Your comments are welcome via the WhatsApp line 0549869996. As you can follow me on X at Selom Adonu. The hashtag, as always, is City Newsroom. Akosia gives us our very first story.
Start off with Parliament, where the Speaker Alban Bagbin has once again adjourned the House indefinitely to the absence of business for lawmakers to deliberate on, following the failure of the Business Committee to meet and prepare the necessary agenda for the floor. Or the recall session initiated by the majority caucus had been expected to address several critical issues. However, the caucus failed to appear in the chamber, with Speaker Alban Bagbin expressing disappointment. In his address to the House, Speaker Bagbin highlighted the procedural challenges that prevented Parliament from moving forward.
I had, under the dictates of the provisions of the Constitution, to issue the summons for you to be here today, and I duly complied with the constitutional provision and got the administration to get the summons published to the notice of all of you. Unfortunately, the signatories who made the request have not shown up, and therefore matters that they wanted us to handle, which are admitted for the consideration of the Business Committee, are not on the order paper, and in fact there's no order paper for today because the Business Committee could not meet due to the absence of the people who requested for the recall. And as you can see, one side of the House is completely empty. In view of this, we have, as usual, got a quorum to sit, but we have no business before us to transact, because the business committee, as you know, they prepare a report, and this report is adopted by the House as business agreed by the House to transact during the course of the week. In the absence of that, there is no other authority that can put business before you which you have not adopted to transact. In view of the failure of the business committee to sit as a result of the refusal of those who requested for the recall to show up, we are compelled to once again adjourn the sitting of the House. Knowing the challenges we are facing, it is not advisable to be adjourning from day to day. And so I'll proceed once more to adjourn the meeting indefinitely. And the meeting, this extraordinary meeting, is accordingly adjourned.
Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, Speaker of Parliament, now the leader of the NDC caucus, Dr. Kesalato Forsing, speaking shortly after proceedings, said the majority caucus had no urgent business to conduct and thus wasted everybody's time.
The very people that requested for Parliament to be recalled failed to show up. Clearly, what we are seeing here is an abuse of the Constitution and the standing orders of Ghana's Parliament. The NPP minority caucus have indeed caused financial loss to the state. You can see we have over 100 NDC MPs here today out of the 137, and we are determined to do what is right. But colleagues, let me make this point to the people of Ghana. Let no one deceive you that the NDC is here to obstruct the people's business. No, we are rather here to work for the people of Ghana. We see this as a call to duty. We turn up in our numbers to do what we have to do, only to find out that the very group of people that called us to consider government business, they have no business. So the truth out there is that there is no urgent government business. There is no urgent government business, and the government has no business. They have given up, they've checked out, and they want the election to be done as soon as possible so that they can leave office. Fellow Ghanaians, let's vote against this incompetent government and have appeal.
That was leader of the NDC caucus, Dr. Kesalato Forsing, now former minority leader and Tamale South MP Haruna Idrisu, who triggered this issue by petitioning the Speaker to declare 4 seats vacant, says current happenings is as a result of precedents set by the New Patriotic Party.
I'm not even too sure whether it's for the Speaker to declare that seat vacant. It says a member shall vacate his seat if he, and when you read the he, I have read from persons in government, even from the learned Attorney General, seeking to talk about the future. The provisions in Article 97 does not only talk about the future, it talks about the past. When it uses the word, if he was elected, it didn't say if he is elected. Basic. Give words their ordinary common sense meaning. It is only when the ordinary common sense meaning leads to absurdity that you look for their secondary meaning. I do not see how the text in Article 97 can be compromised. More importantly, many of you will recall that when I had the rare opportunity to lead the minority, I kept warning then President Akufo-Addo and Professor Michael Kwe as Speaker that watch the precedent you set and watch the consequences of the precedent you set. This is a consequence of a precedent.
Tamale South MP Haruna Idrisu speaking there. Now, the NPP caucus in Parliament has accused the Speaker of inflaming political unrest in Ghana. The leader, Alexander Fenyomarking, addressed the press.
Yesterday, Mr. Speaker himself, in his press conference in the afternoon, enumerated a number of things. Amongst them, he said he had not made a ruling. He told the whole of the country that he had not made a ruling. So, if he claims that what he did was a formal communication in response to a statement from the minority leader, then why is he supervising chaos in the House? What Mr. Speaker did today amount to supervising chaos and bringing the image of democracy to disrepute. The NDC minority members were all over claiming that we, the majority, did not attend a so-called business committee meeting that they called. Who are they? When did we constitute a new committee in Parliament? I chair the business committee of Parliament, and when the clerk to Parliament asked for the business committee meeting, I was very explicit that the subject matter of the recall, which was approved by Mr. Speaker, is a very matter for consideration. So there's no need to have another business committee. Business committee is to decide on the business of the House. On this occasion, you have made an application, which application has been granted, and the items that were approved were the very things to be decided on. So I directed that the order paper should be printed to reflect all those items. Fortunately, Mr. Speaker himself read the two letters, the first one and the second one that amended the first, and indicated to the whole country that indeed our deputy majority whip, the second deputy majority whip, had actually sent those letters to him. He acknowledged him as such. Clearly, the NDC is on a war path. They want confusion in this country. They want lawlessness in this country. And all these are being supervised by Mr. Speaker. It is sad. So we would compel Parliament to sit. And for the right government business to be transacted. We are going to do it. We will not allow the Speaker to have his way. He is not a member of Parliament. The Speaker is not a member of Parliament. He presides over Parliament. We, the members of Parliament, determine the business of Parliament. So we'll recall Parliament again. I'm saying that we'll recall Parliament. We'll recall Parliament. We'll recall Parliament.
Leader of the MPP caucus in Parliament, Alexander Penyo, marking now the Member of Parliament for Adansi Asokwa and Trade Minister Katie Hammond, on the other hand, said the MPP caucus will cite the Speaker for contempt of court.
The Supreme Court has told him that he was wrong. Restore matters to what they were before you did that.
Line of action for the MPP.
Well, we will cite him for contempt. We will cite the Speaker for contempt. Watch the space. There is a ruling made by him. The Supreme Court is spoken. We want the decision of the Supreme Court to be respected. It's not a question of acknowledgement. It's a question of implementation. The Speaker made a ruling. It was unconstitutional. It was unlawful. By any account, it was illegal. The Supreme Court, contrary to the assertion by he himself and some members of the minority who keep proclaiming from high rules and high heaven that the Parliament is a master of its own rules and regulations, the Supreme Court is told Babi and Parliament that you are not. There is an institution which is the master of the rules of Parliament, and that this is what the law is.
That was Member of Parliament for Adansi Asokwa and Minister of Trade and Industry, Katie Hammond.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. Heated matters there in Parliament today. Let's get to the phone lines and speak to Mahama Ayariga, Honourable Member of Parliament for the Boku Central constituency in the Upper East region and a member of the NDC caucus. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. What did we see today in Parliament? I mean, did the Speaker have to adjourn the House indefinitely again?
Well, good evening to you and to your listeners. If you look at the notice to summon Parliament pursuant to Article 1123 of the Constitution, it says that we're being summoned to attend Parliament on 7th of November 2024 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon at the Grand Arena, Accra International Conference Center, 10 o'clock forenoon. Your people were there representing City TV, City Radio. At 10 o'clock, not one single member of the NPP was in the chamber. Not one single member of the NPP was in the chamber. So you sign requesting the Speaker to recall us not leave our constituencies. Look at where Boku Central is. I left Boku Central and drove and came here. And then you, the one who requested that we should be recalled. At the time when we are campaigning, we're left with just 30 days to elections to determine our various futures. And then you don't even show up. You don't come into the chamber. We don't see you around. We're sitting there, and then the speaker enters, and not even one of you is in the chamber. And then he, tells us that you didn't even come for a business committee meeting. I've heard a friend of mine say all sort of things about business committee. Even when we know what business has been admitted for a sitting, the business committee must always sit and adopt it and present a report. If you go and watch your videos of the proceedings in Parliament, you will see a friend marking every week come and then state the business of the week. And then we'll all get up and say, well, can you add this? How about this other matter? Can it also be considered? Yes, you have requested for Parliament to be summoned based on items that you want us to consider. But then when we come, we may also have items. For instance, I wanted to make a statement on the situation in Boku Central. So I was hoping that if they had come and then were agreeing on what the business should be, I would request for an opportunity to also make a statement on the situation in my constituency. So basically, business committee must meet, must come with a report, and the report will be presented by you, Afenyo Markin, or the now majority leader, that is Atu Forsen, and then we will all request for things to be added or deducted, and then we will adopt it. Then that becomes the business. The fact that you caused Parliament to be recalled, and in your request for recall, you indicated items, doesn't mean that we have agreed that we will deal with those items when we are recalled. Your constitutional right is to cause the recall. But what business we will deal with is a decision that we all take. We have to adopt it, that this is the business we will deal with today. So, one, you refuse to attend the business committee meeting. Two, you don't show up on the floor of the House. You don't come in. After the issue of where you will sit, at least come. Once you are in the chamber, raise an issue of where you will sit. Raise an issue of the Supreme Court. Raise all the issues that you want to raise and hear what the response of the Speaker will be. Indeed, at the business committee meeting, one of the items that you will actually adopt and report to us is a provision for Speaker to make statements. And it is usually at the time allotted to the Speaker to make statements that the Speaker will communicate to us that whilst we were away, the Supreme Court took decision, and then he was served with this, and so this is the new information that, we as a House should become apprised with. So these are all matters of procedure that you are aware of. When you sit in your office, and then you send spies, the spies come and tell you, the NDC is sitting on the right-hand side of the Speaker. Then you say, those are your seats, so you won't come to the chamber. And then the Speaker comes and says, well, we have no business because the people who have summoned us did not even come for business committee meeting for us to adopt a business. And in addition, they are not even here for us to see what the direction is. So clearly, they have abandoned their own mission. And people have to go back and campaign. And then you now go out there and you organize long press conferences and you are saying unprintable things about the Speaker and threatening the Speaker. If you were a man, come to the chamber and issue the threat in the chamber. Come and argue your case in the chamber. It's not, for you to go and then be arguing your case on radio. You summon us. We came. The chamber was there. Come in. Half of where you will sit. Come. Let's discuss it in the chamber. Let Ghanaians listen to your argument why you should sit on the right-hand side. and then the speaker may give some directions. But you don't do all these things. So really, there's no basis for all the noise that they are making on radio. He should have been at business committee meeting. He should have been, what do they call it?
In the chamber.
In the chamber.
Very well.
All the arguments he's making that, NDC, we don't want the law on free SHS to be passed. You've been implementing free SHS for 8 years. Did you have a law? Did the absence of the law in any way impede the implementation of free SHS? And so it is today that you think that the NDC can stampede the implementation of free SHS by the absence of a law. Something that you are campaigning on as your main achievement, and yet you didn't see it fit to pass a law to govern the implementation of that policy. So all these arguments that you are making, you are just deceiving, trying to throw dust into the eyes of Ghanaians. This whole issue about salaries of civil servants will not be paid. Who says salaries will not be paid? Is this the first time that we are approaching elections? And have we ever approved any such thing? The main budget was approved, and you covered the approval of the budget. What will happen is, after the period that it elapses, you take money on account. When we come back after elections, we'll approve everything. So don't go there trying to intimidate Ghanaians, writing Ghanaians, misrepresent the situation through no fault of anybody but you yourself, because you refuse to attend business committee meeting and you refuse to come to the chamber. And I heard one of them, our colleagues, saying that they were in a caucus meeting and sadly the meeting took too long and they should have sent people, and by the time it occurred to them that they should send people to come and talk to the speaker, that they were in a caucus meeting. When they arrived, the speaker was already in the chamber. You caused us to be summoned. The notice of someone says 10 o'clock. Go to the High Court. If the court says come before at 10 o'clock, you go there at 10:50 and see what the judges will do to you.
I see.
If had a case in the High Court and they are scheduled for 10 o'clock, by 9:55, he'll be sitting there waiting for the judge.
Let's understand this. Who calls the business committee meeting? Is a meeting at the behest of the speaker, or the leaders come together and meet and the speaker joins them? How does it happen? How does it occur?
They always go to the speaker's office. They always go and sit with the speaker, and then they agree on the business. So was your colleague Atuforsin? The clerk of the committee would then quickly go and then put together a report and bring the report to us.
So that happens in the morning of the sitting.
Yes.
And that's what we see on the order paper.
Yes. You don't see that on the order paper. It always happens in the morning before whatever they have agreed on will be printed and then presented to us in the order paper.
I see. So the point is that today that meeting was not called.
Business committee meeting. What has the business committee meeting got to do with who sits where in the chamber? I have always consistently told you that Afremakin is not interested in the business of government. He's interested in his position as majority leader. If you were interested in the business of government, I've always said that, look, if I am made a majority leader and an issue like what Afremakin is confronted with today arises, I will not care where I sit. I will prioritize bringing the business of government to the House, getting members to discuss the business of the House. All this issue about, majority, minority, numbers, who is a member of Parliament, who is not a member, who has forfeited the seat, who has not forfeited the seat, all those issues become relevant only when we get to deciding. But every other thing can be done irrespective of where you are sitting.
But Honorable, I mean, we all heard the Supreme Court. Of course, we heard the Speaker give his ruling or his notification or opinion, as he may want to be called. We also heard the Supreme Court, setting aside his ruling and staying his hand in terms of the execution of his ruling. Are we not supposed to be on notice, given that the Supreme Court, which is the Supreme Court indeed of the land, has pronounced on a matter? And so did we have to still be engaging in I sit here, you don't sit here, and all of that? And indeed, Afremakin made the point today that their information was that because they found out from the office of the clerk that their name tags were placed where they ordinarily would sit, at the right-hand side of the speaker. But your side went and cleared all those name tags from there, fixed your own name tags there, and sat there. And because they did not want a chaotic situation to unfold in Parliament, I mean, or they did not want to be part of that chaos. So why can't we just, take what the Supreme Court has said in the meantime, whilst we await the final judgment on the matter taken to the court?
You see, the Supreme Court has its rules of procedure. We in Parliament, we also have our rules of procedure. I haven't heard what the Supreme Court has said. One, because I'm not a party in the litigation at the Supreme Court. Two, the Supreme Court has not served me with its decision. You have been discussing things on radio. Some people say, that the proceeding of the Supreme Court was live on radio. Me, I was in my constituency. There was gunshots, gunfire everywhere. I didn't have that peace of mind to be watching television, to be monitoring Supreme Court and whatever they are doing there. And so you are assuming that because there was a procedure at Supreme Court, the Supreme Court met, we have our internal rules. After the Supreme Court took the decision, the Supreme Court will go and serve the Speaker with their decision. When the Speaker is served and he summons us to Parliament, we will come and we will assume that we have not heard anything. We'll go and sit where we believe we are supposed to sit. Then the Speaker will come in. If Afremake had come in, and if he had met at the Business Committee meeting, and they had taken a decision that the Speaker will provide certain information to the House, namely the decision of the Supreme Court, the Speaker would have communicated the decision of the Supreme Court and then given further directions in Parliament as to what he is going to do in reaction to that decision. So we don't just hear decisions, information, discussions on radio and act based on those discussions. If Afremake had come to the chamber, he would have offered the Speaker an opportunity to communicate to us. And perhaps one of the communications would have related to the decision of the Supreme Court. And then the Speaker would have responded, and the Speaker would have communicated some directions to the House. Perhaps that communication may have included the question of whether or not those 4 MPs are now back, and if they are back, whether or not our understanding of who is majority and who is minority will still stand, and etc. But you fail to even come. You fail to show up. When you are the one who summoned us, and when you summoned us, you didn't say that you are summoning us to address the issue of who is majority and who is minority. You say you are summoning us to get us to work on the business of government, namely free SHS law. This is loan transactions. I mean, you are saying that you want us to approve tax exemptions, and that we are afraid that if the tax exemptions are approved, jobs will be created and we'll lose elections. Those jobs will be created in 30 days. My goodness. You couldn't create those jobs in 8 years. It is 30 days that a tax exemption will be approved, and immediately upon approval, that tax exemption will come into effect and then be able to create, jobs in 30 days. I mean, come on. Afremake, I believe you went to law school. I believe you have a degree.
We had Katie Hammond, one of your senior colleagues in the House, and Katie Hammond says that their side will cite the Speaker for contempt of court.
Pardon?
Yes, he said their side will cite the Speaker for contempt of court because the Speaker is a party in the matter. A ruling has been made, he has been duly served, and he has failed to do what the ruling says.
Where has Speaker failed to do anything? You triggered a constitutional provision. He respected your rights under the Constitution. He summoned us. He was in Parliament in the morning. You didn't show up at Business Committee, so there was no business. He sat and waited and finally came to the chamber, I guess around 11 o'clock or even 10:45. You were still not in the chamber. Then he says, well, you are not in the chamber. You didn't come for Business Committee. There's no business to conduct. So he's adjourning. Show me which part of Speaker's conduct violates any order if there's an order. Show me which. As for where we sat in the chamber, nobody raised it before the speaker. If I ask Afrem Akin to show me any law that states where anybody sits in the chamber, he won't be able to show me. All he says is the practice, is a convention. Look, I'm a member of the ECOWAS Parliament. I have visited several legislatures across West Africa. In some legislatures, they sit together, they mix. Go to Nigeria. The Nigerian legislature, they don't have majority side, minority side. They are mixed. They sit together. So which law says that the majority must sit on the right and the minority must sit on the left? Which law? And did the Supreme Court give any directions in that respect? All the Supreme Court said is that, please allow the 4 people to come to the chamber. That's all.
Very well.
I didn't hear the speaker today say that 4 people should not come to the chamber. Neither did I hear him say they should come to the chamber. So what has speaker done for somebody who claims to be a lawyer of so many years standing, be threatening that he will cite the speaker for contempt? He's even cited for contempt.
Very well.
He's afraid of being cited for contempt.
Very well. Thank you so much. The Honorable Mahama Yariga, Member of Parliament for the Bokis Central Constituency on the ticket of the NDC. Thanks so much for speaking to us on this matter. Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. A few messages coming through from here. This one says, since the 2020 elections ended, God has given Parliament several chances to serve the people of Ghana. Those same number of times, Parliament has goofed big time, so God will punish them very nicely, and I can't wait. This one says, Apenyo Markin is only interested in protecting his portfolio rather than government business. If not so, why did he not ask his side to enter the chamber? This is from Alaji Haruna in Ashaman. Eyewitness News, we're working the lines to speak to the MPP side of the House and also speak to some independent analysts on this matter. Eyewitness News will be back after this. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Hi, Aku. I just got the estimate for the home repairs. It's more than we expected. I'm really stressed.
/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. Today, the Speaker of Parliament again indefinitely adjourned sitting. The House was recalled after he initially adjourned the House sine die at the instance of the majority, the MPP in Parliament. However, today in the chamber, the MPP failed to turn up. Indeed, they did not, according to the Speaker, even turn up for the usual business committee meeting. The First Deputy Majority Chief Whip, Habib Idrisu, is joining me on the line to help us appreciate why they were not in the House today. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Why did you fail to attend business committee meeting today?
I don't think that the question has to do with the fact that why we fail to go for business committee meeting. Business committee meeting normally is called by the chairman of that committee, and that the last time I checked, the chairman of the business committee is the majority leader, who is in the person of Honorable Afenyo Markins. And I cannot remember any day that Parliament have changed the leadership of our committees, that someone else will assume the duty. What is
all right, just on that. So Afenyo Markins as majority leader, did he call business committee meeting today?
The clerk of the business committee reached out to the majority leader, who is the chairman of the business committee. The majority leader indicated to the clerk that this is an extraordinary sitting that we have been triggered by the Constitution. It could be a one-day sitting. And then the normal business committee sit down to plan the program for the ensuing week. This could be a one-day sitting or more. The items that we were supposed to look at, or which business committee would actually deliberate on, had been given to the Speaker. It was in our memo. The items that we were, or the business of the government that we have to run. And for that matter, the memo the Speaker have approved and have recalled Parliament. That is what you should put on the other paper. That was what the majority leader told the clerk of the committee. So there also need to sit a business committee. It's not a normal Parliament coming back, going on break and coming back, where we are thinking about sitting more than a week or two, where we have to plan the sitting for a week or more. This could just be a one-day sitting.
Just so we understand the process. Just so we understand the process. So, in your notice to recall Parliament, you had a number of items you wanted Parliament to look at. How many items were those? 10, 7?
There were 15.
There were 15. Very well. So, wasn't it necessary for the business committee, or at least leadership, to meet to discuss which one you take first, second, so that, assuming you are not able to complete it today, which ones you can, defer? So was that not a critical matter to be decided upon at the business committee meeting?
Yes, that's why I'm saying that if you are talking about leadership meeting, it's a different thing. Business committee meeting was to the effect that to program the business of the ensuing week. And this business is already known because it was in the public domain. There was a memo that was sent to the Speaker. The Speaker has approved it and have reconvened Parliament. So the business that we are going to sit on is not hidden. And for that matter, we needed to sit. But what actually was missing today, that being in leadership, this is the first time I have actually come across it. The fact that the Speaker can just come in and go and preside without having leadership meeting. Because we, the leadership of the majority side, were not invited to conclave about this discussion. This morning, I called Jethro, who is the deputy clerk, and then Speaker was in. He did indicate that Speaker was in his office, and the parliamentary service might be having some interview even before we sit. Then I told him that we, the majority side, we are in caucus meeting in my floor, the 7th floor of Parliament. So if Speaker is heading towards the chamber, he should let us know. Then leadership will come and we deliberate. Then later on, when we were finishing, then I heard that the Speaker was heading towards the chamber. Myself, the deputy leader, Madam Patricia, the second deputy with Akontambra, and then Honorable Kennedy Ajapon. The four of us were heading towards the chamber at the conference center to meet with Speaker at his lobby with the leadership of the other side, then we'll be able to discuss and understand what is going on. Because before we could say 10 o'clock when Parliament started sitting, we heard and got the information that the minority, out of their own desperation, were seated on the right side of the Speaker. That is the majority side. We said we will not be involved in that confrontation, but we will definitely attend conclave. And let Speaker understand that, yes, there is your ruling. If that's the reason why the NDC is sitting in the majority side, it hasn't stayed. Yourself, you have gone to the Supreme Court to challenge the Supreme Court to set aside their own ruling, which was denied. And for that matter, you need to let it be categorically that they should sit on your left side because they are minority. Before we realized he was in the chamber, and we were in our offices. When we were doing our press conference, you could see that we were in our 90s. Today, before we had caucus meeting, we were 128 of us who were in the caucus meeting. And then we were ready to come, but we were not ready to go and have confrontation with the minority when they are sitting in our chairs. And they have even to remove our name tags and change it, because this morning the clerk at table had indicated that they did not change anybody's name. The majority side, we were seated on the right side of the Speaker, and the minority, that's the NDC, was seated on the left hand side of the Speaker. So we didn't want to get into that confrontation, but we wanted to address this issue at conclave. Like what happened previously. Before Speaker adjourned, he had meetings with us, and we told him that we will not come in if the minority will not go and sit on your left. He said he wanted to do further consultation, so he was adjourning the House today, and he adjourned the House today. So exactly that is what happened today. It is not the fact that we have recalled Parliament and we did not come. It is not the fact that the Speaker has indicated that he wanted to have meeting with the leadership, because normally that is what we do. The Speaker is not a member of Parliament. The Speaker is not the leader of government business. The Speaker is not the leader of the House. The Speaker is not the majority leader. So business of government lies with the majority leader, who is the leader of the big government business.
I see, but others have said that you could have gone to the chamber, irrespective of where you would sit. Whilst you are in the chamber, you raise the matter about the Supreme Court decision and hear what the Speaker would say. But you couldn't turn up, and the Speaker says there was no business before them and all of that, and so because there was no business, they could not deliberate upon anything. But of course, on the notice to recall Parliament, we saw free SHS bill, we saw one district, one factory tax exemption issues, we saw JB Dankwa University, we saw quite a number of things there. Is it a case that all these documents are before the House already, or they were now going to be laid? What's the status?
Salom, do you think at this moment where we sit, it is the majority, we supposed to come into the chamber, go and sit on the left hand and then raise issue that the Speaker himself has acknowledged and contested at the Supreme Court? The Speaker is aware that the Supreme Court had ruled that his ruling on the former MPs have been stayed. He filed a motion, it was denied. So it is not left to us to come to the chamber to draw the Speaker attention. What the Speaker presided over today was an illegality. It was an affront to the Constitution. It is in violation of the Constitution, and it is in contempt of the Supreme Court. If you go and read the Constitution very well in Article 2(3). Article 2(3), with your permission, I'll just read a bit of it. That any person or group of persons to whom an order or direction is addressed under Clause 2 of this article by the Supreme Court shall duly comply and carry out the terms of the order or direction. And 4 says that failure to obey or carry out the terms of the order or direction made or given under Clause 2 of this article constitute a high crime under the Constitution, and shall, in the case of the President or the Vice President, constitute a ground for removal from office under this Constitution. So the Speaker is well aware that the Supreme Court has stayed his ruling, and for that matter, we were supposed to sit in the right-hand side. The minority is well aware that they are minority, and yet they could come and sit at the right-hand side of the Speaker, that is in the right-hand side. So they are in contempt of the Supreme Court.
Let's deal with the contempt matter. What has the Speaker done wrong? The Speaker said yesterday at this press conference that he does not determine where people sit. And indeed, he said in other parliaments, which you know very well, anybody could sit anywhere. All right, but no, let me just finish. And the stain. If I could just land, if I could just land, and that the sitting arrangement. He said he doesn't determine that. What the Supreme Court stayed was his ruling on the vacation of the seats, which meant that the 4 should be allowed into Parliament. They should not be prevented. But I'm not sure today the Speaker prevented anybody from entering the House. So if you talk about contempt, I'm not sure the Speaker has gone contrary to the order of the Supreme Court. I'm not sure.
Okay. Salom, on what basis is NDC claiming that they are majority? Let's just do the analysis together. They are claiming they are majority on the basis that Speaker has gone to make a ruling to say that the 4 members are not more members of Parliament. So they assume that if they are not more there, NDC will be 136 and MPP will be 135. That is the basis on which they say they are majority. Now, the Supreme Court also says that his ruling has stayed, meaning MPP are 138 and they are 137. Now, Speaker yesterday in his press conference said that the majority group or majority caucus sit in the right-hand side of the Speaker, and the minority sit on the left-hand side of the Speaker. The question is, when he was presiding today, where was the minority seated? Was it on his left side, right-hand side, or the right-hand side? So this is just a simple arithmetic that we can also be able, or logic that we can be able to do. The NDC and the minority group are claiming their majority because of the Speaker ruling. And the Speaker knows that his ruling has been stayed, and he himself has gone to contest the fact that his ruling has been stayed. So on what basis will he preside over a Parliament where the minority have gone to invade to sit on the right hand side of the House, saying that it's not his duty? In any case, why is he not the head of the institution Parliament? And if your house is fire, can't you try and control it?
Yeah, can you test this logic for me?
Who go to sleep with his house on fire? So he is the head of the institution, not the clerk at table. The clerk at table, he has told us today, he did not change any sitting arrangement. We were seated on the right-hand side of the Speaker. But when they came in, they sat there. So Speaker, even when he came in, he could know that, yes, the NDC minority group is seated on the right. And if he doesn't want to disobey the Constitution, as I have read that out, he could say that, no, you go and sit on the left-hand side.
Very well. Just test this logic for me. I just spoke to your colleague, Mahama Ayariga, who says that he doesn't know what the Supreme Court has said. So they came to Parliament wanting to hear from the Speaker what the Supreme Court has said. And he said, indeed, normally on the order paper, there is a portion for Speaker's comments. And he thinks that is that is when the Speaker would relay to the House what has happened, in this case what the Supreme Court has said. And they've not heard from the Speaker, they've not heard from anywhere. And so as far as they know, what pertained the last time is what the situation is. So he was saying that you should have been in the House, let the Speaker speak. Changing position is not a matter. That could happen if the Speaker indeed told them that this is what the Supreme Court has said, and so my hands have stayed. That opportunity was lost today.
Solomon, if I haven't heard my senior colleague Mahama Ayariga said so, but if he has said so, that would be rather unfortunate. Unfortunate in the sense that, Solomon, you can go back and read the statement the Speaker read before he adjourned the House Senate Day 2 weeks ago. The Speaker acknowledged on that day that he has been served by the ruling of the Supreme Court, saying that these 4 members are not more members of Parliament. So what Mahama Ayariga, if I actually said so, has already been addressed. If you look at the statement the Speaker read 2 weeks ago before we adjourn and then we trigger Parliament being recalled, the Speaker has already acknowledged that. And secondly, if the Speaker had not, or we are not aware of it, what happened? Why did the Speaker go to the Supreme Court to file that the ruling on the stay of his ruling should be set aside? Yesterday in his press conference, journalists had asked him questions to that effect, and he said cases were still in court. The minority leader was in the press conference, the deputy minority leader was there, the chief whip was there, the minority chief whip was there. So if you make such an argument, it is just the fact that you want to throw that into the air, you want to cause confusion, you want to actually run away from the fact, because the Speaker had already said that, and it is on public record. You can go and look for that statement. The Speaker had acknowledged it.
Very well. Thanks so much, the Honorable Habib Idrisu, Deputy Majority Chief Whip. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We hope that the 2 sides, or in this case the 3 sides, because the Speaker has become key to this, the 3 sides are able to resolve this so that we can have our Parliament back, and the Parliament who attend to the business of government. Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. Akosi has some more.
The Electoral Commission has stated that it is not legally required to provide a statistical summary in addition to the certified voters register. This response follows the National Democratic Congress's request for additional data alongside the final register presented to political parties ahead of the December 7 elections. EC Chairperson Jane Mensah addressed the matter at a press briefing held today.
The fact that there is no summary does not make it not certified. The register, as you see, as you have it, is a certified copy of the register. If you choose to return it, that's your prerogative. You can do so. And this is a request you are making. It is not binding in law. It is not binding in law. And this is something we've been doing since time immemorial. I believe from Mr. Tete and Bowley been here since 1992. They've never given a summary to anybody. So if it is your request today, that's fine. I mean, we are not obliged to give it to you. But I think as a commission that believes in transparency, that accommodates and is responsive to the needs of its stakeholders, we don't have a problem generating the detailed summary for you. But we are not obliged. And there's no way in law. But as mentioned, and I'd like to put it on record, it has never happened. It's a request you have made. We are not obliged to give it. As a commission, we thought that in the interest of transparency and responsiveness, we should provide you with that summary. And so we will. As Dr. Korea J indicated, we thought that we should give you the details and not just a summary. And so when we went in, it requires some audit checks and so on and so forth, and that is being done. And so you can return your drive if you wish. It does not make what you have not certified. Those registers you have are certified, and that's the final register. It's important for the public to know that we have 21 days within which to give you the certified register. The register was certified on Friday, and we are not even up to 7 days. So we have up to 21 days to give you the certified register. But it's up to you. You can choose to return it or not. As I mentioned, it does not make it any less than certified. We place on record here that the registers that you have in those cases are the certified copies of the final register. They are fit, they are credible, they are robust for delivering a true, a credible, a fair, and a transparent election come December 2024.
You heard that from Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll have City Business News. Don't go away.
transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. City Business News. Be informed.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of the City Business News on Eyewitness News, brought to you by GCB Bank PLC. GCB Personal Loan made that big move and dream a reality. I am Akosi Hauche. The details now. Ghana's crude oil revenue saw a significant boost in the first half of the year, with a 55.6% increase compared to the same period last year. Well, that is according to the Public Interest and Accountability Committee. Here's more in this report.
Per PIAC semi-annual report, the increase is attributed to higher production volumes, particularly from the newly operational Jubilee South East well. This led to a 10% year-on-year production increase, with revenues rising to $840 million, up from the $540 million in the first half of last year. However, the report also highlights a persistent challenge, that is, total surface rental arrears remain elevated at more than $1 million, excluding arrears from terminated petroleum agreements. In light of this, PIAC is urging the Ghana Revenue Authority, that's GRA, to prioritize the recovery of outstanding surface rentals. The committee further recommended that all assessed surface rentals be deposited into the Petroleum Holding Fund by February 28 each year as mandated by law. PIAC also added it is important to ensure that revenue gains from increased production translate into sustainable national benefits through improved accountability and timely revenue collection.
That was Voice of Neil Lati on the City Business Desk, bringing us that report. Now, the government has reiterated its commitment to diversifying its energy mix to meet the growing demands of the populace. Well, to this end, the government has launched several key initiatives aimed at achieving net zero emissions by 2030. Speaking on behalf of the President and the Minister of Energy at the 2024 Power and Energy Ghana exhibition, the Chief Director at the Ministry of Energy, Wilhelmina Samoa, emphasized that the government will take all necessary steps to expand electricity coverage across the country.
As Ghana's energy demands grow, our commitment to sustainability and resilience is central to our development strategy. The government of Ghana has prioritized universal access to modern and sustainable energy, targeting complete access by 2030. This includes not only increasing grid connections, but also promoting off-grid solutions and cleaner cooking technologies to bring power to remote communities. Today, over 85% of Ghanaians have access to electricity, and we are making progress in providing the remaining 15% with reliable energy options through innovative solar, wind, and other renewable energy solutions. In line with
That was Wilhelmina Samoa, Chief Director at the Ministry of Energy. Now, the Savannah and Upper East regions of Ghana recorded the highest food and non-food inflation rates for the month of October 2024, with food inflation at 45.4% and non-food inflation at 43.4%. Well, this data is sourced from the Ghana Statistical Services Consumer Price Index and Inflation Report for the month of October. Daniel Odromensa has more in this Business Desk report.
The Upper West region ranked second with food inflation at 42.3% and non-food inflation at 27.2%. In the third place, the Upper East region had food inflation at 38.7%, while the Northern region recorded 27% for non-food inflation. For food inflation, Bono East, Ahafo, Northeast, and Greater Accra regions secured the 4th to 7th positions with rates of 29.3%, 25.4%, 24.4%, and 23.8% respectively. In the non-food category, Western, Savannah, Ashanti, and Central regions ranked 4th through 7th with rates of 25.9%, 24%, and 22.5% respectively. Oti, Ashanti, Central, Bono, and Western North regions recorded food inflation rates of 23.4%, 23%, 22.8%, 22%, and 20.3%, placing them in the 8th through 12th positions. In non-food inflation, Western North, Volta, Northeast, Bono, and Eastern regions had rates of 22.3%, 21.2%, 20%, 19.6%, and 18.6%, ranking them in the 8th through 12th positions. For food inflation, the Northern, Western, Volta, and Eastern regions recorded rates of 19.6%, 19.1%, 18.2%, and 18%, placing them in the 13th through 16th positions. In non-food inflation, Greater Accra, Ahafo, Bono East, and Oti recorded rates of 17.9%, 16.6%, 14.8%, and 14.5%, also placing them in the 13th through 16th positions.
That was a business desk report filed by my colleague Daniel Odro Mensah. Now, in an effort to support the country's agriculture community, Quality Insurance PLC has introduced an innovative weather index insurance tailored for farmers who face unpredictable weather challenges, including droughts and excessive rains. Well, this new insurance plan is designed to cushion farmers from the financial strain caused by extreme weather events. Speaking to the media on the sidelines of the launch of the insurance product, a manager of the Agric Insurance Unit of Quality Insurance PLC, Sarah Bempo, highlighted the role of the innovative insurance product in mitigating losses by farmers.
With the considerations, we try to look at the main reasons why the uptake of agric insurance is low in Ghana, because studies have shown that there is a willingness of farmers to pay. However, the actual uptake is very low. So we went into the market and tried to find out what their challenges are with uptaking the products that are currently in the market. And they mentioned things like really long claims processing time, disparity between set triggers and actual yields, and all of those things. So we put all of those together to design and come up with this product. What we have is a weather index insurance product, and the benefits are that you don't need to do too much paperwork. As the farmers have already said, they don't like book long, they don't like too much paperwork. So you just fill one form and that's it. The other thing is that you don't need to wait for the end of the season to get your payouts. As long as there is a trigger and is established, you get your payouts within 10 days. So it is very easy, quick, and also it's very transparent because you can actually monitor your policy from your device. The maximum payout you can get is up to 100% of your sum insured.
That was Sarah Bempo, Managing Director at the Agric Insurance Unit of Quality Insurance PLC. Now, Dean of the School of Agriculture at the University of Ghana, Professor Irene Susanna Ijiri, on her part encouraged farmers to embrace the insurance to improve food security in the country.
Food security is about making the food commodities available all the time, affordable all the time, stable and sustainable. You get me? And that's what I said, that if I'm assured that even at, you remember they said they will be working with the cropping calendar, and very soon if your thing did not germinate well, or it germinated well but you didn't get the rain to pull it up well, or it pulled up well but drought came and therefore pest and disease incidents also increased, you are reducing the output for the market. So insecurity is in there already. Sometimes the product is come out, but because the quality is not good, the price you receive is not good enough. So that is also insecurity. You don't get enough so you can buy other commodities that you need in the home. So together, I believe that it allows farmers, when they have the payout, we talked about improved seed. Use drought-tolerant seed. You have to pay for that.
Professor Irene Susanna Ijiri is Dean of the School of Agriculture at the University of Ghana, wrapping up the Thursday edition of the City Business News on Eyewitness News, brought to you by GCB Bank PLC. GCB Personal Loan, make that big move and dream a reality. I'm Makosia Ochi. Up next is Point Blank.
Welcome to Point Blank on Eyewitness News. Tonight on Point Blank, we try to understand what the credit scoring system launched today by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, really is. Now, in a move aimed at enhancing financial inclusion and driving the formalization of Ghana's economy, Ghana's Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia officially launched the much anticipated National Credit Scoring System, My Credit Score. He did that today. The credit scoring system, which has been under development for several months, will allow Ghanaians to make purchases without immediate need for cash. Speaking during the launch, which is a private sector-led initiative, Dr. Bawumia noted that the move will promote responsible borrowing and help reduce the high non-performance loans within the financial ecosystem.
By enabling a fairer and more consistent evaluation of credit worthiness, my credit score is expected to reduce defaults significantly, strengthen confidence among financial institutions, and expand access to credit for individuals and businesses alike. The initiative reflects a broader commitment to sustainable economic growth, where financial stability and trust in credit practices play foundational roles. With the implementation of systems like my credit score, Ghana is poised to transition into a financial ecosystem that not only facilitates responsible borrowing and lending practices, but also drives economic resilience and inclusive growth for all stakeholders. This system is designed to reward financial responsibility. As John Ewa was saying earlier, that if you have good credit, the banks will look for you and design products for you. They'll be chasing after you to lend to you. That is how we want to see it.
That was the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, at the launch of the My Credit Score today. Now let's do an interview on this. Professor Isaac Boydi is the Dean of the Faculty of Accounting and Finance, UPSA. He joins us on the line to help us appreciate really what the credit score system is and what it's intended to do and how do we get to be part of it. Hello, good evening, Prof. Welcome to Point Blank on Eyewitness News. Now, this credit score system we were talking about, I mean, for somebody who doesn't even know what it is, I mean, in a few seconds, kindly tell us what it does and how it's expected or it's supposed to improve our financial lives.
Okay. Good evening, my brother. And good evening to your listeners and your viewers as well. I apologize for my inability to come to the studio to have this conversation. Some other reason beyond my control. This initiative over the months have been under the radar, and finally today it has been launched. The MPP administration has expressed interest in introducing a credit score system in the country to improve access to credit for individuals and businesses, especially in the informal sector. And I've been asking a lot of questions where our Vice President often gets such inspirations from for this a game changer as far as the financial sector in Ghana is concerned. I think if you want to explain this concept simple to just someone who doesn't understand what credit score system is all about, when we give example, it helps with discussions in the right context. Let's assume you have a friend who is called, I don't know your friend, but if your good friend comes to you today and asks for financial support of maybe 1,000 Ghana cedis, you give to your friend because you know the history and the background of this friend of yours. And you wouldn't have any problem, any doubt in giving 1,000 to that friend of yours. Now walk out of your house and go to the street. And you meet a friend who, I mean, not a friend, like a stranger, who walks to you, tells you, I need the same amount of 1,000 Ghana cedi. What will happen is that you look beyond your shoulders and you walk away. Why the difficulties in giving that money to that friend, that person, that a stranger? Because you don't know anything about that person, you would find it difficult to advance money to that person. This is the situation the banking sector or the credit institutions they face. They, in attempt of giving money they have borrowed from depositors to other people outside, it's difficult. Years ago, banking used to be people we know in our community. We give those because we know their background. It moved away to relationship. That's why now banking is about relationship banking. I must know your history. I must know your background. I must know who you are. And that is what this credit score system is, the purpose or the focus of this credit score system. Now, when this, yes.
Yeah, so I wanted to find out, how does one get to be part of this? What is the eligibility criteria?
How you can be part of this? I think everyone, if you go back to history, if you watch some of the best practices across the world, a student finishes high school from ground zero, doesn't have even an account with a bank, but the bank will call and give funds to this young person who has completed school, just to find out how they'll be able to build a credit score for this person. So, for instance, $1,000 or so is deposited into your account for you to be used. When the person starts using that fund, they start monitoring how the person is able to dispense or use the funds and the ability of that person paying back. So, just this example, it tells you it can start from someone who doesn't have any transaction with the bank, which can happen. Again, other major companies or informal sectors who have some transaction with the banking sector can benefit. So it cuts across. As far as you have transactions and something to do, you can have access to.
I see. I wanted to find out really, is it that you have to walk to the bank and tell the bank, for example, that I want to get onto the credit scoring system, or it's an app which is connected to many of the financial institutions? How exactly does one get to start using the system or get to be part of the system?
Right. I think it's important to understand how even this score is calculated. But we can come to that. If today I want to be part of this, those who have banks account with banks, it's very easy to start building the scores for these individuals. And you know that a good credit score will start with a loan, credit card, and we take into consideration your borrowing history, your payment pattern, credit utilization, and a mix of the accounts that you have. These are the parameters that you have to consider before scores are calculated. So it can't just be just any person on the road you apply for. And if you have the chance to look at the documents that was launched, you will now know the categories, the steps in which one could be part of this. But for me, what I could deduce from the documents, for instance, the informal sector, it is difficult for banks to assess the credit worthiness of these institutions. So we have banks have an account with a bank. The bank will be able to trace your credit history, your payment patterns, your credit utilization, and a mix of a credit account that you have. And this is how these matrices could be used. It could be used for computation purposes.
I see, but I know we already have what we call the credit bureau system. How different is this from the credit bureau system?
How different is it from the credit bureau system?
Yes, sir, because I know that there's already some means of ascertaining your credit worthiness, the credit bureau system. This is a new one, the credit scoring system. Do they share any similarities? Is it very different? And if it's very different, how different is it?
Yes. You agree with me that majority of our banks, they resort to the credit bureau system. For instance, if I want to get a facility from any bank, I apply to the bank, or if it's a savings and loan microfinance, the bank would then, before they give loans to me, many cases they will refer to a credit bureau system. We know that they have records of individuals who have borrowed from other banks, and therefore they will be able to make reference with regards to their payment history and their credit, how much they have borrowed from other banks as well. That is for the credit bureau system, the operations, how it also works. But for this particular one, it might not be a major departure from that system. For those ones, institutions and companies, the formal institutions, sometimes will have access for this. What about the informal sector? And over the years, the example I gave you, if I have someone who has never had any relationship with a bank, how can a bank grant a loan or facilitate that person without any relation with any bank? There must be a way of building the history and the record of that person. And in the matrix, we find a point, a grade, that must be assigned to that particular individual, so that this will be a yardstick when the person wants to access any facility for any bank. So it might not be a major departure, but this happens to be a novelty at this point in our history of this country. And sometimes I ask myself, where all these inspirations are coming from? Because I think in Africa, it's only South Africa that we are practicing this.
I see. I think we have to end it here because we run out of time. We'll find time and delve into this, a lot deeper, because I think it's something we must all understand properly so we can benefit fully from this innovative venture. So, Prof, thanks so much. Professor Isaac Boadu is the Dean, Faculty of Accounting and Finance from the University of Professional Studies in Accra. That's how we conclude today's edition of Point Blank on Eyewitness News. Show produced by Nana Kobna Wilson, Sami Weafi, and Beverly London. Technical assistance provided by Thomas Obindaku. Earlier you heard Akosia Ochri. My name is Selom Adonu. Up next is